Right. So tell me what you think of the new show idea. We're changing the name again. People don't even know what it. Well, they know what it is because they're listening to the podcast, and so they saw it already. But
I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, which like 5 people do, you saw it there because.
So you accepted the follower or the collab.
I accepted it, and then like my aunt, who lives in Arizona, the one that made you drop me off to meet up with, she liked it, and like a bot liked it because everybody remembers Patrick and the bots. Like we're tight, hashtag Patrick 300. I don't think we ever got there, but we tried.
No, it was Patrick 500.
Was it Patrick 500? Did we get there?
I think we did the 300 at one point, but our last one was a hashtag Patrick 500 because we used to joke it like a NASCAR race. So.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea because, well, for a couple of reasons. One, it's basically what we've been doing on the show. Anyway, I've already told you that. And two, I'm gonna let you talk the majority about what the show is becoming, but everybody knows Patrick doesn't keep up with professional wrestling the way that many other folks do. And so to not have that kind of pressure from week to week.
Right. I get that. And we'll talk a little bit about how we got there during the show itself. But because I'm excited about it. I think it's great from a naming perspective and a thematic perspective. I've had this idea for a while. And now we finally pull it off.
You've never wanted you never like keeping your name on the show.
Remember, Greg DeMarco show was a working title. That was a placeholder for when we figured out a name for the show. And that was 15 years ago. So,
and folks who have followed if you've been with us, Noble listener, for 15 years, the name, the Babyface Heel podcast,
which was probably my second favorite, or maybe my favorite of the title.
But every now and again, the title would just change, and then
there was
there'd be a hiatus.
For a while, there was one time we'd stuck with one for a while. Maybe took a couple weeks off. We came back, and I just called it the Greg DeMarco show again. Not even thinking until like halfway through the program where we're like, oh, I guess I changed it back. Like it wasn't
back to the Greg DeMarco show.
It was an accidental change. Only once. All the other changes. We changed more than the big show changed babyface and heel. Like we did. And that's fine. Because we're changing
not as much
and you're gonna like it.
I mean,
He's a man, such a man, such a man. He's a real.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Welcome to we can actually number the pod. Like I always get jealous of people who number their podcast because we never did. So we didn't actually know the number. But we could number the podcast right now. Like we could literally dive in.
We could. I feel like it's just we're numbering a new era though. Like I think it would be like one of those. So in the world of comic books, this is a very comic book thing. You would see there would be times where the Amazing Spider-Man would have like 2 different numbers associated with it because they did some sort of special like number 1. And so there'd be like issue, 378 and then in parentheses 2 or vice versa, 2 and in parentheses 378.
778 in parentheses 1.
Right. There you go.
So for those listening who just heard William Regal's old theme song with Mike Gundy at the end of it, welcome to the first ever edition of the Grown Ass Man podcast with myself, 49-year-old grown ass man Greg DeMarco, and himself, 48-year-old grown ass man Patrick O'Dowd. We are shifting gears, but we are shifting gears in a very different way than we've done in the past. In the past, we've shifted gears, and it was just a different way to talk about wrestling. And usually that came along with some gimmicks. With the Babyface Heel podcast, we usually had the Babyface Heel of the week. And we tried to be good cop, bad cop, but didn't always work out that way. And we had Miranda. She was like stuck in the middle. She was like the referee of our Babyface and Heel, whatever. Again, but this is more where we are in life and in the world. Now, we'll talk more in the future. I want to do a whole episode. I want to rip off the When Harry Met Sally name and do like When Patrick Met Greg, and do a whole episode about that. But we've been podcasting since 2011, and it started when I wrote for 411 Mania, and someone else, and Larry and Steve had a podcast, and I was like, we should have a podcast, and we did. And that's kind of what, the 2-second version of a much longer story. But recently, as Patrick talked about in the preamble, I don't even know the cold open, we talked about how we have shifted away from talking about wrestling because it was becoming less natural, because with time, there were times where I hadn't watched. I still don't have the ESPN service, so I'm not watching WWE PLEs. I'm catching highlights. I'm still trying to watch Raw and SmackDown and NXT.
I still haven't watched the El Grande Americano match.
You should do that.
I want to. It's on my to-do list, but you know what I choose to watch instead right now?
Yeah, old bowling. Yeah,
no, this was current bowling, sir. Current bowling. Old bowling.
Sorry, shit. But so as I was thinking about 2 weeks ago, because we didn't record last week with Patrick anyway, we still recorded, and we'll talk about that too. But I had the epiphany. I was just like, okay, let's officially shift gears and not do this pretend thing. Not that we were pretending at all, we weren't. And I'd always wanted to have the Grown Ass Man show, Grown Ass Man podcast. I went back and forth, but we'll go with podcast. And I thought that where we are in life, it makes sense because we have all of that. Like, I talked about our ages already, but like, we both have children. I have one in college, one getting ready to go to college. Patrick has one getting ready to go to high school. We both have jobs. Those jobs can be great some days. Those jobs can suck the other days. We've both been married for, Patrick's going on 20 years. I'm, 27 years. So it's literally like we have lived lives now, and we can sit here and talk about these things. We're not going to be your like gruff, toxic male podcast, but we're not going to be, because I'm probably more of a toxic male than Patrick is, and Patrick's more of the blue liberal than I am.
And that's very much so.
And that's okay. That's good. We don't want, I always said that podcasting is better when people aren't the same. But at the same time, it brings out a different perspective and a better way that we can serve an audience. And I think it'll open us up to a different audience over time as things catch on and those stories catch on. So for me, it was an opportunity to use this theme that I've wanted to use for a while.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
And get a few new sound bites here and there that you guys will hear, but also to just leverage our strengths, which is, of course, talking to each other. Because again, this show was literally born out of the fact that when I moved from Connecticut to Arizona in 2006, we would talk on the phone. And so our podcast just became our phone calls because I thought they'd be entertaining, and they were. And it's still what this is now. And again, I'm doing a lot of abbreviated stuff because I think that's going to be better for the future. But it brings us to where we can really present different perspectives. Might we talk about wrestling sometimes? Sure. And we'll talk about sports sometimes. And we're going to talk about issues sometimes. And we're going to have guests at times. Like, I've been thinking of different ideas for guests, both when Patrick O'Dowd's European vacation, and when we just have guests that we can have join the show. Patrick O'Dowd has literally been on a podcast about Disney World, Disneyland travel. And I want to take those people and bring them twice. And I want to have that as part of one of our episodes, because grown ass men take vacations with their families. So, and the great thing is you can make almost anything. Like, I could have a fucking fisherman come on here, and neither of us fish, and we could talk about it. Like, I've got lots of different ideas about people we already know to bring on the show, and then ideas about what.
One of my favorite follows on YouTube and TikTok is a guy named Jacob Knowles, who is a lobster fisherman in Maine, who explains to everybody how they, like, the laws around, like, the type of lobsters they can keep and what they like, what's special.
I
what's
want
not
to know like that.
His name is Jacob Knowles.
See, and then you can also manage our TikToks. I don't have TikTok, but
I don't have TikTok either. I just know that most of what you see kids on Facebook as a reel started as a TikTok.
Yes, even though TikTok started as Facebook Reels, but still,
right?
Maybe it didn't. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. But
other way around, TikTok existed on its own. Facebook did its own thing.
Yes. And then Instagram tried to fight it and kind of did. Yeah, it's all this weird stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about the history of social media because it's good and bad all at the same time. But it brings us to present day and where we are. Where Patrick and I will bring you an hour-ish of programming each week that's going to appeal to kind of the people who are most watching and talking about wrestling online, which is people that are in that 35 to 55 demographic and mostly men. And here we are. And so it's going to be content that interests that audience, but isn't wrestling. And so that's going to bring us to where we are. And I think it's going to prompt a few other people on the network as well when they see it and hear about it to want to join in too. I can already think about one or two who are going to want to jump in and have some topics here and there, which I think will be good. And it'll evolve. We'll come up with regular segments. We'll come up with regular things that we do as well. And it'll be good over time. So what we do in episode number 1 versus what we do in episode number 100 could be very different things, and we'll see what happens when we get there. But we are going to talk about issues. We are going to talk about things that people experience and struggles that people have. And so I do want us to focus on those things as well, which does bring us to a recent thing that someone had and struggle that I think is definitely worthwhile of talking about. So, Patrick O'Dowd, you did not come to record last week, and you just told me you were out, and I didn't ask you why, and we never do. I'm just like, yeah, I'm out. Yeah, I'm out. It could be because someone's tired. It could be because someone has shit to do. It could be because someone just doesn't want to record a podcast that day. Or it could be for some real reasons that are very salient right now. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and then this is Men's Mental Health Awareness Week, which is kind of weird that the month and the week are the same.
Well, International Mental Health Awareness Week. Yeah.
My apologies. So Patrick thought it would be useful to come forward and kind of talk a little bit about what happened last week. And so, Mr. O'Dowd, I hand you the tennis ball. I hand you the floor. If this is NHL coverage, the hat just went over to your head.
Yeah.
And we can talk about what happened last week.
Yeah. So the short story is that especially in the summer months, a lot of times because of the nature of what we're doing for work or our job, or if there's things going on. But I deal with anxiety attacks from time to time, like high anxiety attacks where it's not quite to the level of a panic attack where you're so paralyzed you can't do anything, but it is one of those things where I'm functioning so minimally that I went to work last Tuesday. I went to work. I went through the motions, but for me, I never know when these things are actually going to hit. Sometimes I do. Sometimes you can tell. Other times, like last Tuesday, I woke up, and from the minute I woke up, my chest was tight. My brain was working overtime, and overtime in just a very frenetic, almost border. Usually when this happens to me, it's borderline paranoid. I'm very, very. I get very emotional very, very quickly, and I just knew in the moment that I did not have it that day at all, and would have called out of work had I not called out the day before as I was supposed to have jury duty. I then ended up, let's just say I imbibed a little bit and I was feeling it the next day. So I took that day as a play hooky sick day and
Right.
Recovered in the morning and then did my lawn on that. I was still productive, but then I woke up Tuesday and it was everything seems wrong. I can't figure out what is wrong. I don't know why I'm worried. I'm legitimately worried about I could not in my brain find anything that was going on that I should be concerned about. And yet, I sat at my desk and stared at my computer for most, I had a meeting, got through that meeting and then stared at my computer for most of the rest of the day and just did not want to, you said, sometimes we don't feel like it. This was that I don't feel like it because I didn't feel like I would be great on the podcast. I didn't feel like I didn't want that because I didn't want to be distracted trying to talk about whatever it was we were going to be talking about. I wanted to literally I wanted to go home. I wanted to sit on my couch. I wanted to not deal with anything at all and go to bed early. And that's what I did. And I made that decision when I texted you, and this is my sort of mental health thing all the time. Like I'll admit I don't go to therapy. I don't have a therapist or anything like that. I believe in therapy. I have gone to a therapist in my life. But this is one of the things that, you talk about grown ass men. We've been taught for a long time, like we're the end of Gen X, and we're part of that generation that was taught. And the expectation was that we don't talk about our feelings like that. Like we are, when you talk, there's the joke about toxic masculinity. It doesn't come from anywhere. Or the word toxic masculinity doesn't come from nowhere. There was a time where that the expectation was that you're gonna be the strong one in the household. You're gonna be the one to bottle up your emotions, and you're gonna deal with it in different ways. And having a breakdown isn't what you're supposed to do. And so I was having a little bit of a breakdown, and so I needed a day off.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And that, I think, is why Patrick wanted to talk about this too, because first of all, as we get our target audience listening to shows like this, there are people listening right now who are like shaking their head, nodding their head. Yes, like they feel it. And 95% of those people, if they're dudes that fit that typical 35 to 55 demographic, never talk about it. Ever talk about it. I don't even know how much you talk about it. Like, I don't know if you talk about it with your wife. I don't know if you talk about it with your kid. Like, I just don't know how much it's discussed. Because it may not be.
It depends. It depends on, like, there have been times at the office where I've told my coworker, like, look, this is what I'm dealing with right now. And my coworker, the same person in the same job, she is 2 decades younger than me. Mm-hmm. And so, and it is just very, like, her background is very different in the environment that she grew up in, is very different than what we experienced. But like, I've told coworkers at times, like, look, this is where I am. If this is what I'm doing, this is what's happening. Like, this is what's happening with me. I'm very open about it with Mrs. O'Dowd. I've talked about it with the little O'Dowd at times, because I also, when I'm experiencing that, the things that help me really get through it are the connections I have with the two of them. Whether it, like, I don't typically, because my wedding ring doesn't fit properly anymore since the weight loss and the diabetes. But when I'm going through one, I wear my wedding ring. Okay. Like, I just do, because it's a connection to her. I'll be blunt with, my 14-year-old who's not quite the hugger he used to be, like, look, dude, I need one of these right now. And here's why. And that's most of the time how I mention. And then oddly enough, the other thing that gets me through it a lot of times, and this is one that people are doing something that makes me cry. Like, sometimes, like, making myself cry, which generally is me rewatching the 2019 St. Louis Blues Game 7 highlights when they beat the Boston Brewers, because it's got to be a happy cry. It's not going to be a sad cry. Or the St. Louis Cardinals 2012, 2011 Game 6 of the World Series, where they came back against the Texas Rangers. David Freese with a home run to center field in the 11th inning after the Cardinals have been down to their last strike two innings in a row to win that, and then win the World Series the next day. Those are the things that I usually need to do to get through it and sort of.
And I think we all need our things that help us, and even help us if we need major help, or help us if we need a little bit of help. And I'll talk about why I'm saying that here in a minute. But I want to go back, because this is not, and I'm just going to ask questions, even if you're not comfortable answering them, and you can decide if you're not. We'll respect that, right?
Yeah.
This is not a new phenomenon in your life.
No.
This has been going on I've been hearing about it for feels like at least a few years now, if not longer. Not every day, but it has come up before. You told me about it, and have it not recorded. Well, there have been times where you have not recorded at least once that I can remember going back in the past. But do you remember a time when this began, or was it something that you feel like has always been there and grown? Has it changed over time? It's a little more open ended. You can take a direction you want.
I think I
I
couldn't pinpoint where sort of these phases of these attacks. There were a few summers back in particular. I was feeling an incredible amount of pressure in the workplace, and by no fault of anybody at the workplace. It was just, for whatever reason, the responsibilities that I had with regards to my job. And it really was a feeling of, I'm not doing enough to get X, Y, and Z thing done. And very much in a, it's so, and it's not silly, but would be like, if I don't do this thing, it's going to fail, and would tell myself that, and then be like so anxious about screwing it up, I wouldn't start it, or I wouldn't do it, or I wouldn't ask for help right away. And then I would push it away. Because I've always been, even as a kid and in college and high school, I've been a notorious procrastinator to do the work under pressure thing and get things done. And I was smart enough, to my detriment, that I was able to pull that off in a lot of ways. But somewhere along the line in the workplace, that shifted and changed to where it was like, I'm feeling just incredible pressure, which then sort of played itself out to where I just got used to, and it's the reason why we don't sleep in the same bedroom anymore. I would go to bed at a normal hour, and I would wake up progressively over the course of the summer months, earlier and earlier, until by the time I got to August, when we're getting ready for the big, basically our move-in process and getting everything going there, to where I was going to bed, after, say, we recorded, I go to bed at 11:30 midnight, and I would wake up at 3, maybe 3:30, 4. I would wake up early enough that I would flip on Discovery Kids, which was a channel, and it was showing reruns of G.I. Joe and the Transformers from the 80s. And I would watch those, but they only aired at like 4 a.m. And it would mess with my sleep for a long time. And then as soon as we would get past the school opening, like, I would flip back to normal and it would come back. And so for me, a lot of time, it has creeped in at different points with things that I'm directly responsible for. Like my project team that I manage at UMass, like, when there are things that events or pieces that are directly relevant to me and the job that I'm trying to get done, like, those are the times when they'll come back during a school year. But most of the time it's these things come up in the summer, and I don't remember when it started, but I remember it started with impacting my sleep. And now it comes a little bit more frequently in like attacks, where it's like a day or two here or there somewhere where you really feel it.
The pressure thing is very real. And I think a lot of people listening can associate with that. I know I can. Like, I work in ever since my company merged with 2 others and a third, to become this one company. And my boss and I were talking about this yesterday, about how we still make the same amount of money. I mean, we've gotten raises, but we would have gotten them anyway. But now we have a lot more pressure and a lot more to do. And I think everybody kind of secretly wishes we go back to the way it used to be before the merger. And it's you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And there was a point where people wondered, like, if some folks were going to go away, like, and there was a high level of stress amongst people at the workplace a few months ago, where, like, there were a lot of phone calls checking in with HR where people were like, is that when they're going to let us go? Like, what's going to happen? And I dealt with a lot of that too, to the point where, and I'm like you, and I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing or either way. I'm not very good at going to therapy and doing therapy and anything like that. And I never have been. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just in truth, good, bad, or indifferent. And so I have often It's going to sound silly and people might scoff at it, but I have used Chat GPT in that capacity. And it's funny because I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, because she knew what I was stressed about, because we talk about those kind of things. You just reminded me something I want to tell you about in a minute. And one of the things that I hate is like, I like to get to the point, right? Which is not always the best for podcasting, but it's great for work and some other things. And with Chat GPT, it's zero emotion, especially the way I have it set up, because you can tell your Chat GPT whether or not to be like, there's a prompt you can give it. Maybe I'll share it with you. Where it's like, just tells it how you want it to respond, and it applies it to like all of your conversations. And it was very much like, you're not this, you're this, you're overloaded. Your brain is overloaded. This is where you are. This is how you tackle it. And it literally told me, it's like, tomorrow you're going to go to work, because you have to go to work. You take the day off. You've already told me that. And you're not going to survive the day, but you're going to make it through the day. And if you're going at 70%, that's okay. And here's how you're going to do it. And every 90 minutes, you're going to do this. And it like literally was just like boom, 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 because it knows what I want. I don't want to sit there and stew. I want action items. I want things I can do. And it was extremely helpful and got me through those days and got me through all of that. Now, it's interesting because whenever you tell ChatGPT something like that, the first thing it tells you is it gives you like mental health resources. Like, it's built in because it knows people do use this for therapy and for those conversations. And maybe that's a bad thing. So people probably listening right now that are like, oh my God, don't encourage people to do this. Some help is better than no help.
Right. And if it's giving you the resources to follow, that's not a bad thing. And I think that was, I've taken advantage of resources in my workplace because we do have limited access to like a gateway therapist. Like you're in crisis or you need help, you can make an appointment. And I've used those resources. I used them for a much different reason, but because when we talk about things that give you anxiety, there was a point where like my marriage was in trouble and I needed to talk to somebody about me, and different sort of stress and anxiety, very much so, but was very much like needed to talk to someone other than myself because I was really struggling.
Yeah, and I get that, and I think that's normal, and people need to acknowledge that, not just because it's June, not just because it's International Men's Health Awareness Week, but in general, and that's something that I think we all need to be cognizant of. You can't be married for 20 years or 27 years or 7 years or anything like that and not go through some ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
If you do, one person's ignoring the other completely. Like, it's just not humanly possible, but that's part of the commitment and part of what you do. And I'm not saying to never get divorced or whatever. It's just like you work through shit and you figure shit out. And when it can be worked through and figured out, sometimes it can't, but that is going to affect you, and you're going to need some conversations and have those. And I think that's normal as well. And I think that's something that people can definitely relate to. But the big thing is you got through it, and here you are, you got through it. You've had some enjoyable moments, some fun moments since then. And, you're cognizant of it. You always know when it's creeping on you because you talked about that even on there before. And the ability to talk about those things can only help, in my opinion, help you, help me, help other people. And so we aren't going to always talk about this kind of thing on the program. And Grown Ass Man is a very broad umbrella that can cover a whole hell of a lot of topics. And that's part of the reason why we named it that. And so be mindful of those things. Be ready for that as a listener, because we are going to continue to have those conversations over time. But I think that there'll be good conversations. There'll be conversations that work. So be ready for it and be ready to talk about it in general, and know that hopefully this also proves to the average person out there listening, we're not going to hold back either on these type of topics. Like it's I kind of think we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the world, and not just you and me, but everybody. If we have something that can help, we don't do any good by keeping it bottled in. And bottled in's a bad phrase because guys keep things bottled in all the time and then it just erupts. But it's there's always lessons that we learn in life that somebody else can maybe learn from and avoid a bad situation, before something gets worse, or however you want to put it. So thank you for your willingness to share that with, it's just you and me talking, but we know other people are going to hear it. So, but that willingness to share, that willingness to let that be a part of the story and, where it heads. So expect those kind of things here on the Grown Ass Man podcast, because that's what we are going to do.
Tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create tough times.
So I got to get more of those things because they can't all just be like somber and stuff like that. But we'll a few others. I got my favorite.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
But see, there'll also be times where we talk about things that make us go,
why is everyone so fucking stupid?
So we're literally going to have the entire gamut, the entire spectrum of things that we talk about on this program. So, and I think that's good too. I think we don't want to just settle into one thing or the other and do those things over time. So some real things have happened in the world that I want us to talk about. And when I say real things, that's kind of a misnomer because you're going to think we're talking about serious worldly stuff, and we're really not. We're going to shift gears a little bit and have some fun because there's two major topics. Number one was this. So Patrick had been texting me back and forth, and we will. It's a little bit about wrestling, as you know, we used to host a wrestling show, but there's a character that from the wrestling world that has kind of taken over popular culture now more than ever. And I'm not shocked because of how great the character is, but I don't think Patrick is either. But that, of course, is Danhausen. And Danhausen came into WWE at Elimination Chamber, came out of a box, and everybody was expecting Chris Jericho. Fell flat on day one, but now that we're 100 days later or whatever, I mean, couldn't have been a better signing for WWE and for Mr. Danhausen himself. And now he has sort of taken over the NBA Finals. And it was very organic. Like, it started with his experience with Stephen A. Smith when he cursed him and cursed the Knicks. And then he reversed the curse. And their success as a basketball team literally followed whether or not Danhausen had cursed them. To the point now where members of the team are giving him credit. Not all the credit, obviously, but they are mentioning him in mainstream interviews. I think Jalen Brunson has mentioned him. And, of course, he's the star coming out of the NBA Finals. And
Jalen Brunson didn't just mention him; he mentioned him on Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, there you go.
Like,
which how great would Danhausen be on Jimmy Fallon? First of all, like this is. I hope that happens.
Well, that's so. I was going back because this is what led to the text in the first place. Was just this whole thing with the Knicks, and I was just like, I think what did I just say? Is he the biggest star? In wrestling, and now I'm trying to find it. Nope. Oh yeah, I shared with you a tweet of Danhausen saying he's only been with the WWE for 106 days, and I asked the question of, is he the biggest star in the company? And I think there's a legitimate case for yes, because he is salient in the zeitgeist right now outside of the wrestling arena. And that's why I asked the question, because you had responded with something along the lines of, I've already closed my phone, so I can't look at it.
I said I didn't know because he's not selling tickets and all of that, but like,
but that did
WWE.
Well, and here's the thing. I think he is selling tickets. I think we've talked about this many, many times when it comes to the WWE in particular. And yes, they have their top stars. They have their top guys. But I still think there is too much thought and credit given to the guys at the quote unquote top of the card as being the guys who drive ticket sales. Not saying they don't entirely. That is not a fair statement to make. What is this thing you are looking at?
So I'm sharing on my screen. I did a Google Trends search comparing Danhausen and Roman Reigns, and depending how small it is on your screen, because I don't like the sharing functionality that we have here. But Roman's in red and Danhausen's in blue. So
Roman is still higher
today, but again, you're looking at like the 14. But look at what happened on Sunday, right? When just a huge difference between the two, and then Roman peaked back up, and it's been a little bit of back and
Monday.
forth. But that's the past week, right? But if I go to the past month, there's a big spike for Roman, but they're largely close outside of the big spike for Roman. Like the interest for Dan. If I go to the past 3 months, you see a huge spike for Roman. April 19th. Gee, I wonder what that was, WrestleMania.
Right.
But there are times where Roman sinks down and Danhausen's above him. So the highs have been higher for Roman, but Danhausen has jumped.
It's a steady A.
And that's again, we're comparing Danhausen to a guy who's main evented 11 WrestleManias. So you got to think about who we're comparing to as a whole. If I add WWE as a search term, they're way above all of them. So that's kind of shows you where that is. But I do think it's definitely worth looking at. Now, if I throw Knicks in there, I mean, it just everything else is flatline.
Yeah. The thing that I found particularly interesting with regard to like sort of just how far the thread has gone. One of the podcasts I listen to is actually a radio show from my hometown. Or in my hometown area back in Illinois. And this local radio station talked about, like, everyone's talking about curses and getting uncursed by Danhausen or getting cursed by Danhausen and what this all means. Like, everyone, even radio shows in rural Illinois are talking about this guy, and it's translating over onto the WWE's programming, and he is built for like you talked about him on Jimmy Fallon. He's built for any show. Like any talk show format, he's in.
In fact,
when's he going to guest? Yeah. When will he end up on a sitcom? Like as a guest star, you know?
Rather than later. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, here's the thing too. Like he is a character. I'm talking about wrestling now. He is a character that is then inserted into wrestling. So he is not a wrestling character. He's a character put into wrestling. And that to me shows his value and where he is as a star. And yes, the search terms were different. And again, that's search terms. So it's only one metric. But like, I would love to revisit this topic in a year.
He's got a New York Knicks shirt selling like hotcakes right now.
I mean, he was a huge merchandise mover during WrestleMania, and he's everywhere. I mean, they shoehorned him into Raw this week because of the success over the weekend. Like at the end of the year, when people look back at the world of pro wrestling, like we've done in the past, we shouldn't now. He needs to be a candidate of the years, and maybe even the year of Danhausen, like you're saying. Like that's real. That's realistic, and maybe that's the one article I can convince you to write. It won't be, but it could be. You can consult on an article about Danhausen. How about that? We'll give you a consultant.
I'm deeply entrenched in the Danhausen sphere. So
I think you are more than people realize, and because you've looked at it, analyzed it, and you're largely right. And
I just know that I could do the man on the street conversation with people, and they would probably, especially out east.
Yeah.
Right, because of the connection
on almost a daily basis. Like he's everywhere.
Like my boss across the hallway tomorrow, I'm going to ask him if he knows who Danhausen is tomorrow. It's going to be fun. I
should post in our work chat. We have like a general chat in work and be like, does anyone besides myself or Mario? Mario's a guy at work who follows wrestling. know who is Danhausen and see what people say. And I love it for the guy because he crafted this character. He put it together in the world of indie wrestling. It got into AEW. And if that's all he ever got to, that would have been a win for Danhausen. But it's not. He ended up in WWE, and look at him now.
And I do want to say one of the narratives that needs to stop. I don't think AEW dropped the ball as hard as everybody wants to say right now. There is a level of resource that the WWE has at its disposal called ESPN. Like this timing with them and their relationship with ESPN, it was again built for this. some of this is the opportunity that came before them based on the resources that the WWE has that AEW just doesn't. And all these people that are, if you're an AEW fan being like, God, Tony really dropped the ball with Danhausen. Did you want Danhausen in your company the way he is being used right now in the WWE? Like, honestly, because I don't see it. I don't see it. I never quite saw the fit, especially when I saw the character in the WWE because of how they use it and do it.
There was a recent post on Facebook that, again, I snooze people, and then 30 days later they come back up, and I see something that I snooze them.
Yeah, you again.
With these same people for over a year now. And someone posted about how they listed 3 people that Tony Khan fumbled. They're very anti-AEW. Cody Rhodes, Danhausen, and CM Punk. And I literally replied, and I disagreed. I don't believe that AEW or Tony Khan fumbled any of them. They got a lot out of Danhausen, but he needed the machine behind him. The machine expanded that. CM Punk needed to go to AEW to rediscover his appreciation for WWE and all that. And so I don't think that was fumbled at all. And Cody Rhodes, the company moved into a direction that he didn't want. So if you're saying they fumbled Cody Rhodes, you're saying they fumbled the entire company. It's still the number 2 wrestling company in the world. It's still on major cable television in the U.S. and has an even bigger following sometimes internationally, and has drawn, over 20,000 people, up or over 50,000 people, and even on more than one occasion. So that's not fumbled. They didn't fumble their company, and no matter whether we like them or we don't. So it's the success is there, whether people want to appreciate it or not. So I don't think they fumbled any of them. I think they fumbled Danhausen either. I think Danhausen progressed. He progressed from the Indies to AEW to WWE, and I give it 18 months just because of how long these things take to make before we see that dude as a random one-off character in a movie.
Right.
Like it's a cameo or whatever it is. And unless he's completely protected his identity perfectly, his real last name is Danhausen. So,
what the timing just didn't work out. He would have been perfect in the new Scary Movie.
There'll probably be another one. So,
maybe it did okay. It didn't do as well as I think they were hoping it would do.
Yeah, you never know.
A lot of these revivals don't. But.
Dude is also 35 years old and started wrestling in 2013. So he's been in the world of wrestling for 13 years. Good on him. That's all I can really say.
Right.
Like, good on him for what he's at and what he's been able to accomplish. I think it's fantastic, and I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see again, I don't think anyone could have predicted when he debuted in March or February, whenever Elimination Chamber is, I think it was in March, that we'd be here now in June, where he is nationally, entertainment-wise. Again, the planets had to align. It's very organic, but now there's that fear. Now that WWE sees his value, are they going to do something dumb with it, or are they going to make the most of it? I don't know the answer to that question. We'll have to find out when that time comes. But
I can't wait to see him on Thursday at the parade in New York.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, and he's going to get, at minimum, ESPN level coverage for it. I say at minimum. There's very few things that are bigger than the ESPN level coverage for it. So I love it, and I think it's phenomenal, and it's good. We're going to segue now. So we'll play again. I'm going to keep making some of the very same type of soundbite over time, and Patrick will know why. But I am going to segue to maybe someone you could call a villain, which will jump in with the soundbite I have. We'll see.
It'll be nice working with proper villains again.
So again, you're going to hear. Oh, I wanted to go back and talk about that real quick. You talked about things that you watch to make you happy and to bring you that happiness. The other day, I want to say it was Sunday, maybe Saturday, I wanted to watch Ocean's 11. It's my favorite movie. I'll tell anyone who will listen why I love the entire Ocean's trilogy. 3 of my top 5 movies of all time are occupied by Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. Not in that order, but they are in part of the top 5. Ocean's 11 is number 1. Ocean's 11 is the greatest movie ever made. It's not even an opinion. It's just pure fact, and we're not going to talk about it. Just like Landman is the greatest TV show ever made. Again, we'll wait till the next season comes out before we talk about that. But again, it's just pure facts, not even opinion. I'm being facetious, but I wanted to watch it, and I put in the DVD because it's not always available on streaming because the movie's 26 years old, and the quality just sucked on DVD. Like, I got the DVD when it first came out, so either in 2001 or 2002, and it's not formatted for my TV. It's not anything, and even when I changed the format,
it's all stretchy.
TV, yeah. So I went to Amazon Prime, and I was like, "What does it cost to buy this movie?" And it was going to be like
$3. Oh.
To rent it, yes, but to buy it on Amazon Prime, it was going to cost like $14.99. But for $22.99, I could buy the whole trilogy.
That's how they get you.
So I bought the whole trilogy, and I queued up Ocean's 11, and my God, it's perfect for my screen. The sound is better. Everything. It's like completely remastered and beautiful. I got through it, but that is my happy place of a movie. I'll go back to when I was in grad school before I met Patrick O'Dowd. I worked at Arizona State University. We're only supposed to work half time as a grad student, but most of us worked more because we were in college student housing, and it is what it is. But every Wednesday, I worked until noon, like 11 or 12. I walked from my building that I worked in to downtown Tempe, which is a couple miles. I checked our mail because we had a P.O. box. I got Jamba Juice, and I walked home. And then when I got home, and if you've ever gone to a restaurant with me, you know that I will drink like 8 Diet Cokes over the course of a dinner. Patrick is nodding his head. He knows this for a fact. Anybody who's eaten with me will know this and make fun of me for it. There was one time where I went to the restroom while people ordered. I came back, and my family had told the waitress, because you know if the server is like fun and cool or if they're not. I came back, and there was a pitcher with a straw in it.
That's funny.
So, like, the family knows it's a thing. It's a gag, and I love it. So that Jamba Juice was done by the time I got home. But then I would fire up Ocean's 11. I put it in the DVD player and watch it every single Wednesday for an entire year. I did that. I have seen this movie easily 200 times in my life. But it's just easy to watch, and that is my happy place of a thing. That's you watching the 2019 St. Louis Blues. That's all of that. I'll save my second favorite movie for another episode of this podcast because it's a complete change. And if Patrick remembers what it is, he'll remember why. And if not, we can confirm it off air. But that is my happy place. Other thing I wanted to tell you about, because you talked about your wedding ring and how it doesn't fit anymore. This right here cost me $12 on Amazon. Like, I do not have. So I stopped wearing a wedding ring several years ago because I started, like, it was affecting my skin. And this was like, I've been married for 15, 16 years at this point when this started happening. So I stopped wearing it, and it didn't become a problem, but it was just like, I wanted to have one, wanted to whatever. So I did research on different metals, and the type of metal that this is, titanium or what it is. I can't remember. I got to look it up. I just ordered one on Amazon, and it doesn't matter what it is. Like, it's the ring doesn't matter if it's an expensive, nice $300, $400, $500, $600 wedding ring, or if it's a $12 one off of Amazon. It fits, and it serves the purpose, and it actually looks kind of cool. And for a while, I wanted to get like a bunch of different ones and wear them like different times based on what I was wearing. I don't. I've had the same one for years now. And what's great is if I lose it, because I do remember a specific Patrick O'Dowd once losing a wedding ring 3 times. I just go on Amazon. I get another one.
I know. 2 times. Sorry, 2 times.
Right. But think about how many of these $12 wedding rings I could get for what you've had the cost of you replacing your wedding ring twice.
Right.
So go on Amazon, buy yourself a wedding ring. Then she'll always be with you. And it'll fit. And then you won't have to worry about losing it. And if you do, it's $12 getting them. And look, some of them are more, and they got some really cool ones. I'm not going to lie. It's definitely is what it is. And I like it. And it definitely, so that's where I wanted to go with that fact of the wedding ring that you brought up earlier.
Gotcha.
15 years. I did play the proper villains, and then we didn't talk about the topic.
It'd be nice working with proper villains again.
The villain I want to talk about is another name that's been in the news. I even compared him on the trend to some other people, and he was above them. And that is Brendan Sorsby. Patrick O'Dowd. You're going to be Chat GPT, and I'm going to ask you to summarize in less than a minute. Why is Brendan Sorsby important to talk about right now? Why is he not even important? I'm sorry, because maybe he's not important to some people. Why is he newsworthy?
Because he was granted an injunction from a suspension from playing college football after he had revealed that he had a serious gambling addiction and had bet on his own team when he was the quarterback at Cincinnati upwards of 40 times, including picking them to lose. And so that's a straight up violation of the NCAA bylaws, or I don't know what they call them. And the NCAA was going to enforce its right to suspend him. A judge in Texas, as he is transferred to Texas Tech, a judge in Houston, Texas, who went to school in Houston, put an injunction against that decision. However, today, did you see the news about today that he parted ways with Texas Tech and is entering the NFL supplemental draft? Yeah,
because I told you I want to talk about the supplemental draft,
right? And so ultimately, in order to do so, he has to withdraw his lawsuit so that he can actually be ineligible to play, which is what you need to be qualified to enter into an NFL supplemental draft, because that is what the supplemental draft is actually designed for. It's designed for players who, for one reason or another, become ineligible to play college football, an opportunity to be picked up by a professional team. Excuse me.
Yes. And supplemental draft, I think the last time anyone was drafted was 2019 in the supplemental draft. The last time they had one was 2022. Someone declared and they weren't drafted. And now we're having this one. So I'm not here to talk about the rules. I'm not here to talk about the Texas Tech stuff, any of that kind of stuff. What piques my interest about this is the supplemental draft aspect of it all. Because I think the last time a quarterback was picked was like Dave Brown in 2002 or something like that. I was trying to do some research. Right. It's been a while. Had he come out before all of this came out, right? Had he come out in this draft, he probably would have been the second quarterback picked off the board. He wouldn't have jumped over Fernando Mendoza, but he probably would have been picked before Ty Simpson.
Because it's a down draft class. Like it's a down quarterback class.
He's talented and he's got size and he's made some bad decisions on the field. No, I ain't talking about stuff off the field, no, on the field. But and there are some teams with some needs. And so what I'm interested in is going into this supplemental draft. It's funny. I talked to my son and my son's like, no one's going to take him. And I'm just like, you're crazy. Someone is going to spend a 2027 pick on this dude.
Lawrence Phillips got drafted, for crying out loud. And that guy was a train wreck.
My question is, who picks him and what do they use? Because remember, the supplemental draft, if you know how it works, you basically, in a blind bid, it's like a blind auction, you put up a draft pick and you say, I'm willing to give a first-round draft pick for next year for Brendan Sorsby. And if no one else gives a first-round draft pick, then he's yours. If someone else gives a first-round draft pick, then there's a list. And it's not just the same draft order. It is like, I want to say it's anybody who had like less than 6 wins is the first group, and the second group is anybody who didn't make the playoffs remaining from that. And then the last group is everybody who was in the playoffs. And so it's probably how they should do the regular draft. I hate that the regular draft is just reverse order of records because I feel like you should. I've always said that the first team out of the playoffs should get the first pick and then go down from there because I want teams who try hard to be rewarded for trying hard versus, the Cleveland Browns. But this year the Raiders. But we'll see what happens. But so first off, yes or no question. This is a dumb question, but I'm asking you anyway. Does he get drafted in the supplemental draft?
I think someone will take a risk. Yeah.
I think so too. Okay. So knowing what you know about football, who has quarterback needs, all of that, who did just take a quarterback this year versus what they would have done if Sorsby was in the draft. Who do we think is going to pony up, and will they pony up?
Well, when you're talking pony up in terms of draft picks, not salary, right? Because the other thing about
salary is slotted to this year's draft.
Right. Well, and the other thing is this is the definition of a zero risk from the franchise's standpoint. Like this is a flyer pickup, even if you're a team desperate for a quarterback. And it's funny you mentioned the Browns. The Browns have 2 quarterbacks that are that are there, but they love hoarding quarterbacks. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them. I just don't know what kind of picks they would have. You mentioned kind of the two most of our kind of my two favorite toxic franchises because you can't put anything past Vegas either. But again, they have a quarterback.
They just put Fernando in there.
Yeah, so you're not gonna go there. I'm trying to think who's where that you could replace. Do you have a team in mind? Just out of curiosity, the Falcons.
Waiting, sweetheart. Just waiting. Good. Go. Waiting for you. What do you want? Go, little girl. You're like a little girl.
I saved that soundbite for when neither of us are talking, and Patrick chimed back in, so it wasn't as salient. But I do have some ideas. So to me, the obvious one, I look at who had the quarterback need and who didn't fill it very well in the draft. And a lot of people point out the Cardinals, but they spent a third-round pick on Carson Beck, and I just don't think they're going to turn back around and spend a supplemental pick on Brendan Sorsby. I could see the Jets.
Yeah.
Their quarterback room sucks. I could easily see the Jets throwing out a third or fourth round pick from Brendan Sorsby. And I think the Falcons are another one, depending on how much they believe in Tua and right? Like it's a tough call, right? Very tough call. Right. So I could see the Falcons. I just don't know. Remember, the Falcons are the team that wouldn't hire Bill Belichick because they have a very set corporate structure and they weren't going to alter that for anybody.
Right.
And I don't know how they are with draft picks. So I think the Jets, like if I were a betting person, I think you could bet on the Jets to pick Brendan Sorsby because of their need. There's two teams that are very interesting to me that I think are somewhat, quote unquote, off the board. Number one is the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, they have Joe Burrow, but who do they have when he gets hurt again?
You make a point. Yep.
Right? Like he's always fucking hurt. And he's always there.
It's almost as if he needs to not get sacked all the time.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Getting another quarterback is not the answer for them.
Right.
At all. But it's the kind of move that I don't feel like the Bengals lost out on, like Trey Hendricks, right? They lose out on people. And it's almost like, let's just assume that 5 years from now, Brendan Sorsby is a, top 12 NFL quarterback. Okay. That doesn't sound like a move yes, the Bengals got Joe Burrow with the first overall pick and after arguably the greatest college football season of all time. But like, that's not the norm for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Right. I
am going to make a bold prediction. And remember, when I used to write the bold predictions article, it was, what did the B stand for? I don't even know. Bullheaded. I'm going to
hit that. Hit that soundbite again.
I know, right? I gotta hit it to myself, but I was too busy trying to think of what bold fucking stood for. Not that anyone cares except for me.
Waiting, sweetheart. Just waiting. Good. Go. Waiting for you. What do you want? Go, little girl. You're like a little girl.
So, lewd was one of them, and D was deplorable. Lascivious was the L. It was lascivious. Outlandish. It was, and what did I say? The bullheaded, outlandish, lascivious, and deplorable. Those were the bold predictions. So I'm going to make a bold prediction, and it's my real bold prediction. It's not bullshit. I think a second round pick, because they looked it up. They do have a second round pick, and they have lost some of their picks next year because of trades, but fuck them picks. I think a second round pick will be spent by the Dallas Cowboys. For Brendan Sorsby. Because Dak also gets hurt a lot. And they don't have another round for Dak. And this is a team that signed, they most recently signed the dude who never panned out in San Francisco. The person they drafted in the first round, the same year they got Brock Purdy in the seventh round.
I don't even remember. You're asking the wrong guy on that part.
But it's kind of thing you would normally know. I don't even remember who it was, but yeah, 49ers pick same year. I'm teaching you guys how to Google as Purdy. So, because they picked him third overall, and now it's not even telling me who they had picked. I don't remember who it was. God, that's going to kill me. But yeah. It was a big time name that had only played a few games and never panned out because that's just what happens. People listening right now are yelling at their podcasting device.
Right.
But it's very much a Cowboys move to make, very much Jerry Jones move to make, because he has admitted before on podcasts and radio shows sometimes he just likes to stir things up.
Josh Dobbs or Brandon Allen?
No, it's gonna. Maybe it wasn't the same year as Purdy, but I really thought it was. Maybe it was the year before, but I'll figure it out.
I'll keep going through it.
But it's not.
You keep going.
Before. I don't know. It's killing me now because I know.
Well, I'm as Sam Darnold.
No,
they had Sam Darnold in 23.
No, maybe it's 2021.
Your point stands, though. I understand what you're getting at, and we are
Trey
not
Lance.
compelling.
Trey Lance.
Okay, yeah.
Trey Lance. He was the guy who just never panned out, and the Cowboys ended up signing him at some point. I think they traded for him. They gave like a 4th round pick for him, or a 5th round pick for him. If you're willing to give that for Trey Lance, you're willing to give a 2nd round pick, and so they don't have a 1st round pick next year. You're willing to give a 2nd round pick in supplemental draft for Brendan Sorsby. And so that's what I think is going to happen. So I'm going to make my bold prediction right now that the Dallas Cowboys are going to give a 2nd round pick for Brendan Sorsby. And that's where he's going to end up. And who knows? Dak has a propensity to get hurt. He could get hurt. And the Cowboys have a propensity to just move on from people. Look at what they did.
Yes, they do.
What they did this past year. So with Michael, as Jerry Jones kept calling Micah. So it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. So we shall see what happens.
In a serious note about Sorsby and the whole situation, I do like Dallas is the perfect circus for what's going to surround Brendan Sorsby if he ends up on when he ends up on a field, because regardless of his talent, every mistake that man makes that is consequential to a game, it will be questioned, and it's just the nature of what he signed up for. Tom Fernelli from CBS made one of the best points that has kind of stuck with me when asking the question about whether or not Brendan Sorsby, with regards to the NCAA, like there's been a lot of talk about what he's struggling through with his gambling addiction, and we are not trying to dismiss this. And Tom Fernelli has repeatedly said, nobody said that we didn't want Brendan Sorsby to get treatment and help for his gambling addiction. What we don't understand is why he needs to play football to get treatment for the gambling addiction, where he was tied very closely to gambling through college football. And that is a real question. And as you mentioned, and I ruined it all. Fuck it.
It's okay.
Anyway, you had this conversation, and he was like, nobody's going to sign him. No responsible franchise is going to sign him. No franchise that doesn't need a quarterback is going to sign him. Jerry Jones, like you said, it's kind of a pot stirrer. And it's going to be interesting. And he's going to get signed, and that team's going to be like, we're in full support of him. We're still going to help him get his treatment and take care of himself. We believe he's moving forward. But it'll never go away. Mike, it'll never. The first interception he throws.
The NFL is full of players who have done far worse things than this. So it's
I don't think those people should play football either. I don't think he should play personally, because, and it's the same reason why Pete Rose is a little bit different, because Pete Rose did most of his gambling on Reds games when he was a player, where when he was a manager, not necessarily was a player. He was a player manager for a couple of years, and there were some bets placed there. But when somebody commits a crime, we don't question the justice system, right? Like, and we don't question somebody's right or not right to play. Like, you're very much a proponent of letting that process play out. these are things that we know he did to directly impact games that helped him financially. And that's like, it's the last shred of hope of any of any sort of integrity of a game, which I know is laughable given how tied sports books are to American sports now. Like that ESPN, every major sport network is brought to you by a gambling site / company. ESPN is giving you betting lines during Sports Center, or showing the margins. Like I listen to
games, during game broadcasts.
Yeah, during games. So yes, there is an element of the system that is decrying this guy now. Like there's a hypocrisy there, 100%. As I am not sponsored by any gambling company and do not and prefer not to question my sports, I don't like it. But it's going to happen, and life will go on.
It is going to happen. It is going to happen. Life will go on. All the things that you said are true. And that's just kind of where we're at in the world right now, too. So I think he deserves another chance. I don't think he deserves it in college football because that's the game that he bet on. I do think he deserves another chance, and that chance will come in the NFL. I'll be interested to see what happens. I'll be interested to see what he accomplishes in the next.
I mean, he made his $4 million. Like he still got his $4 million. So, kids, don't fret for poor Brendan Sorsby. He's fine.
No, he's fine. And Texas Tech isn't even going after any of the money they've already given him.
Right.
Plus the money he made before he was there. Like, yeah, he's fine. He's a college athlete, top flight college athlete. He's totally fine. I'll be interested to see what he does in the next 5 years as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. And if he does pan out, they're getting him dirt cheap because they're getting him for the cost of a second round pick. And so it's again, they're getting basically him on a rookie contract. They only get 4 years. They don't get the guaranteed. They have the 5th year option if they don't spend a first round pick. They don't have a first round pick to spend. So we will see how that goes. That is going to wrap things up for this week's edition of the Grown Ass Man Podcast, episode 1. It's a new beginning for Greg DeMarco and Patrick O'Dowd. This show is part of the Chairshot Radio Network, which you can find at thechairshot.com.
Thechairshot.com. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Follow the website at Chairshot Media. We've got all sorts of great things going on. It is Pride Month. We've got daily posts out there for Pride Month. We've got daily posts out there for Wrestling Dream Matches. We're going to continue those as the months roll on. I believe some sound bites from, we do the Chairshot High Table, which is our leadership meeting, quote unquote leadership meeting every Tuesday before Patrick and I record. And this week we're actually going to be putting out snippets of that. Tony recorded it so he can let Riverside put together some clips, and we're going to see how those go out. So follow Patrick O'Dowd on social media at Wrestling Realist. Maybe you can change the name now. You're not even on a wrestling podcast anymore. Who knows?
I'm still the Chairshot villain. Like I'm still the number one Chairshot villain.
You could go in that direction now if you wanted to.
You haven't listened to Bandwagon Nerds. Poor Dave today, this week.
I started listening. I listened to Four Corners. I haven't listened to Bandwagon Nerds yet, but I listened to Four Corners.
Oh, nice.
Nerds. But you can follow him at Wrestling Realist. That's WRESTLNGREALIST. You can follow me at Greg DeMarco 44. And it only has one post on it so far, but you can follow this program. This is how serious I am about this brand change. I created an email account so I could create an Instagram account. And it is at Grown Ass Man Pod on the Instagram. Page 2 attached to it, which Instagram let me set up automatically, and we'll cross post there too. So I'm very excited about that. Try to put clips up because I do want this to reach a different audience and a new audience because it's more than just wrestling, and it'll be that we're looking forward to. So what will we talk about next week? I don't know. Some of it will be things that happen in our lives. Some of it will be the things that the world brings us. We will find out. But until then, he's Patrick O'Dowd. I'm Greg DeMarco. We are both over 40.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
And this has been the first ever edition. Patrick O'Dowd, thank you for your sharing this week.
Hey, happy to do it.
I want people to know that. And I think that people can learn from it, and it is important to talk about it and help more people do that. And we'll see what gets shared next week right here. I don't even have a slogan yet, but right here on the Grown Ass Man podcast.
He's a man.